So there is still one more process that is left, which is called as the linking process. Okay, so linking process, writing, programs which are completely self-contained. What do I mean by self-contained? Every little instruction that needs to be done by the CPU, I keep typing it into the program. It becomes incredibly tedious. So what we do? Is we use pre-created libraries, right? So you can think of library like your physical library, wherein you don't, before you write your book, you don't start writing that book in the first place, right? So you pick up the book which is written by somebody else and then you start reading it. This is exactly that, right? So in the previous example, I used this term called printf, right? So this is called as a function. Now this function I use to display the text hello world. But my C program does not contain the instructions of how to print in itself. Okay, so what I did was I reused a library which is called as the stdio library. From where I borrowed this particular function, I said that, okay, I'm going to borrow your function and use it in my program. Right? So that's exactly how we are reusing it. So this process is very useful to accelerate your program. Okay. So what you have done, you have borrowed the code which is written in some other file. Okay. So that is where the linking process comes into the picture. So wherein you want to integrate the machine language code which is present elsewhere as part of your own program. Okay. So I will repeat that. In case you want to integrate the machine language program of some functionality which is present elsewhere and is not part of your program, that process is called as linking. Okay. So just like you have a compiler as a piece of software, a linker takes a set of object files as input and produces an executable as output. Okay. And how do you produce object files themselves? You produce object files by going through the compilation process. You compile, you produce object files. So essentially what happens, you will have lots of .o files. Lots of .o files, right? You would have created, you or somebody else must have created the corresponding .c files. You compile them, you produce the .o files. Okay, so probably this was written by you. This was written by somebody else, right? So this was written by yet another, some other person, right? But then you put them through the linker. And what you get is the executable. Okay, and the executable file is the one that is used by your operating system, and the operating system now takes that particular file and then says, okay, this contains the combined file, right, contains all the instructions that are necessary for the CPU to execute. We are good to go, and it will simply pass it to the CPU, and the CPU starts executing instructions one by one, which are everything that is present in the executable file.